All right, welcome everyone. We are live, ready to draw. We're gonna start as usual with our 5-minute warm up, and let's get rid of that little recording button. There we go. Today, we're gonna do some free draw. You draw whatever you want. I'm gonna be doing some work on some concepting for the board game I was talking about the other day. So, let's get started. 5 minutes on the clock to warm up, and go.
Hey everybody, it's Caleb. I just wanted to remind you guys to ask any questions that you have and let us know what you're going to draw. Is this Procreate? Yes, it is. What are some things that you've liked about using Procreate more than other programs?
It's pretty fast. I never experienced any lag. It's really efficient. They got the hotkeys down pretty well, and pretty much every feature that I would need to digitally paint that I might find in Photoshop, they have, with the exception of a few small things. Like I wish they had way to adjust like the gamma and stuff like that, and I wish that they had a text tool. But I think that's all stuff that they're eventually going to add. So um, I think pros over other apps, in my opinion, is that it's um, a lot more powerful and has a lot more features and stuff like that. And pros over Photoshop is that it's much more streamlined and simplified and easy to draw quickly and not have a bunch of other stuff in the way.
Scribble Soothe adds, I think the blending algorithm is better too.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't really blend a lot. Well, at least not with the blend tool.
So random thought here. I was looking at your drawing and thinking, oh, that's so cool. You know that he did that so quickly. Just drawing that skull out of his head. That's so cool. And it made me think of how some people will look um, at artwork from an artist and tell them, man, I wish I could draw like that. You know, I know you've talked about it before quite a bit, but I just think it's funny how sometimes people are like, man, I had that skill as if it was like something
Like,
you're
you're so lucky.
yeah, you're so lucky, or it's just like something you're born with, or there's no way that they can develop it, but it's like
It's like, you know how many horse skulls I've drawn?
right.
So they weren't out of my head. I looked at pictures of horse skulls and drew them over and over and over and over again. And I mean, even this, I'm guaranteed that if you looked at an actual horse skull, you'd be like, oh, that's not very accurate. I mean, it's pretty close, but um, yeah, it wasn't. It was just hours and hours of practice. I don't have some magic gift. And let me correct, it's not a horse skull, it's a unicorn skull. Okay.
Yep, big difference. Motivation Station says, "These live sessions are inspiring me to start drawing slash sketching again."
Good.
So that's really cool.
I love to hear that. All right, there's our unicorn. May your day be filled with happiness and sparkles. All right, so this is what I'm working on today. We're doing free draw. I wanted to work on this concept I have for a part of the board game I'm working on about dinosaurs and stuff like that. And part of the board game, I want to have these avatars of the gods, basically the physical manifestation of these gods that these tribes worship, as miniatures or like oversized miniatures, probably like 2 or 3, 4 inches tall, that you can access and gain control of for your tribe, via, having the most, you sacrifice the most resources to it or whatever, or completed its quest or whatever, and then you gain access to it. So this one is the Avatar of Plenty, and I want to do some more thumbnails and come up with a good idea that I can take to finish and paint, and then eventually have made into a miniature. So, um, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and turn that. That's kind of like the rough sketch I did, but I want to do some more thumbnails and come up with some more ideas before I stick with that. So we're just gonna be doing some quick thumbnails. So some things that I wanted to incorporate in the Avatar of Plenty was a lot of greenery. Like, I think it would be cool to have stuff growing on him, um, and some sort of dinosaur or animal element as well. And for all of them, I want them to also have a sense of mysticism, uh, large size, and some like like some ornamentation. Like gold. Clothing, like pieces of gold on their clothing and stuff like that, to really cement them, cement the idea that they're kind of like within this Aztec culture, so to speak. Aztec like culture. I mean, it's not Aztec culture exactly, but inspired by. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna do some quick thumbnails.
Bruce Nunn says, "My new iPad Pro has definitely helped me draw more often, and Procreate is an amazing drawing app."
Nice.
Yeah, anything you can do to be drawing more and learning constantly, definitely encourage you to do that. Sophia says, "Good morning, Austin and Caleb."
Good morning, Sophia.
So just to fill people in on what we're doing today, if you guys are just now joining us, we're doing a free draw, so you can draw whatever you want. Austin's working on a concept for a game, and you guys can draw whatever you want. You can work on something you've started previously, or you can start something new. It's up to you guys. Bruce Nunn says, I've been studying the Loomis method, working on my heads and figure drawings. This is a good method for anyone struggling with heads.
Yep, Loomis has got some pretty good stuff. I agree. Alright, that was one thumbnail. I'm actually gonna make my brush size a little bigger so we can keep it a little looser and focus more on silhouette.
Samantha asks, what are you drawing, Caleb? Well, I haven't started drawing yet. I've just been working on moderating the chat, but hopefully I'll be able to start in just a minute. So I'm not quite sure. Saludos desde Chile. Hola, Cristian. So we got Christian joining us from Chile. That's pretty awesome.
Welcome, Christian.
What part of Chile are you from? My girlfriend is from Santiago. He's from Santiago too. Cool. That's awesome.
Well, that's one idea. Another one. I think it looks really cool. I'm not sure though that it hits the feel I want it to go for because I want it to feel really ancient and massive, and just like so old that he's just like covered in like moss and vines and like vegetation like growing on him and stuff. And like that seems a little bit too, I don't know, maybe. I feel like I might use that for a different idea with like a different dinosaur, perhaps. But
It looks really cool to have the dinosaur legs and everything, and then to have almost like a human like torso kind of thing going on
it's like a
above that.
dinosaur centaur.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
All right, let's see. See if we can come up with some other ideas here.
Bruce is viewing from Kentucky.
Welcome, Bruce.
Samantha says, "I'm viewing with my cat."
Like you're viewing with your cat, as in like that's what you're using to watch this. Like your cat's like a Teletubby stomach, and you're just
Yes,
like holding it up,
please.
watching this YouTube video. Hello, geese, or whatever you are out there. So this idea I have him where he's like growing out of the ground.
Ooh, that's really cool looking. Scribble Sue says, "Anyone attempting to go to art school?"
Not me.
Bruce Nunn is asking, "Austin, what would you suggest on days that we don't feel like drawing or to keep the inspiration to draw every day?" Isn't that interesting that that question comes up almost every time? Something related to artist block or, lack of creativity or motivation.
Yeah, I think it's because the reason it comes up so much is because it kind of speaks to like a deeper issue about human nature, which is doesn't really even have that much to do with art. It just has to do with like how do you get yourself to do things, that you know are good for you, but that you don't want to do, right?
Mhm.
Um, Let me just reread it. What would you suggest on days that we don't feel like drawing or to keep the inspiration to draw every day? Um, you got to get into a mindset where it's not negotiable with yourself, where your brain understands that this is not something we discuss or negotiate with on whether or not it's going to happen. It just happens. It's not an option. Like, for example, for most of us, if we're normal people who aren't insane psychopaths or extreme anger issues, if someone gets mad at us, or we get mad at someone else, like they make us angry or upset at work, or someone cuts us off on the road, and we're trying to figure out how to resolve that anger, if we should say something or what we should do, or how to feel about it. For most of us, it's not even a thought in our mind to be like, what are our options? Well, we could murder them.
Mhm,
We could hit them with our car, right? Like,
mhm.
that's non-negotiable, right? Like, our brain is like, okay, these are the things that are not even in question, right? We're not even going to negotiate those, so it doesn't even bring them up. Um, and that's where you need to get with your art, is that your brain understands, like, me drawing every day and working is non-negotiable. Doesn't matter if I don't feel like it. Um, I mean, it's you gotta treat it like your job, or whatever, eating. Um, just because you don't feel like going into work doesn't mean you get to not go into work, or just because you don't feel like paying rent, it's like tough luck, pay your rent, right? Um, you gotta be in control of your mind and not let your mind control you, so to speak. Some ways, though, some practical ways to help you with that would be to some practical ways would be to set rewards for yourself. So if you do this once you have drawn for 30 days straight without missing, you can go do this, or um, you can buy this new thing for your art. What I don't know, whatever you want to set your rewards as, but having rewards for your goals, uh, I think makes a big difference, and can really help motivate you. But yeah, you gotta stop looking at it as being negotiable with yourself, as it being an option. You just gotta be like, nope. Like this live stream, for example, um, there's some days where I think like, oh my gosh, I stayed up too late last night, or I really don't feel like drawing. I'm just gonna skip today, especially on the weekends. And I have to just be like, nope, nope, it's not a negotiable. I don't get to negotiate with, like, it's happening no matter what. Um, I'm going to make sure I come and do this. I said I was going to. I set a goal for myself. It's happening. And I think we gotta be the same way with with the goals we set for ourselves, if we really want to be serious about them and make them happen.
That's great advice, Austin. Bruce Nunn says the iPad has helped me a lot because, as I said before, sometimes it's difficult starting at that clean piece of paper. I felt like I had to produce great work all the time. The iPad has removed that, so I find myself drawing a lot more or being able to start, and sometimes starting can be the hardest part.
Yeah, I agree. Just start. All right, so some parts that I like about some of these is I'm basically just doing the one I did earlier, so I'm not going to finish. I can just bring that other one in here and shrink it down. But let's see. All right. Now we can. What's this? Oh yeah, it's my unicorn. All right. So these are thumbnails here. Um, things I like. I like the rock sort of stuff going on his back, or like the big scale things. I like the idea of it being somewhat more humanoid. Um, I mean, I can incorporate these into the other designs, but I really like this, like ornamentation, and like the stuff on the back of this guy in the bottom left. I like the idea of having a staff that looks kind of like a tree of some sort. I also have to think about in terms of this being able to be cast and made into a miniature. So I can't have too many things that are um, like I gotta be careful with having things hang off and stuff like that. They can only go so far and still be able to print and not fall off or break off and stuff. So I do have to keep that in mind. Um, the centaur one looks pretty cool, but I just don't think that it is. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's doesn't hit the mood enough of like feeling really ancient and wise and like almost like part of nature, like grown into the trees and stuff like that. Feels too mobile, and maybe it's because he's effing jacked. I don't know, but just not hitting it quite right. I think I might use that idea though for maybe like the avatar of the hunt. And instead of doing like a brontosaurus, maybe I'll do like a woolly mammoth type centaur. Um, I don't know. We'll we'll see where I go with it. I do think that I don't like the upright one as much. It again feels too young, like this really hunched over with the really drooping neck. I think makes it feel really old. Um, and then I'm trying to decide if I like the plant legs, like how it kind of turns into like tree trunks, or if I want it to be actual legs. Um, I don't know. It might be a pretty cool game element. I mean, I'm also trying to think about practicality, like within the game. Might be pretty cool if, most avatars they can kind of move around and stuff, but maybe this avatar, he has a really powerful effect, and maybe it affects everyone instead of just the player in control of it. I don't know, but he has a powerful effect, but he can't move once he's placed. That's like he stays in that territory. He doesn't get moved around or anything like that. And so but it's really like it gives you a lot of it doubles the amount of resources you get to collect or whatever it might be for owning that territory. And yeah, that might be pretty cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me hear some feedback. Anyone in the chat have anything to comment on or add? I'd like to know what you guys think about it.
Kung Fu Foods likes it. Christian says super. Scribble Sooth says get to buy a xenograph. I'm not sure what that is. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Get to buy xenograph if I don't break the chain all year, or a piece of art I want in my house. I think referring to
Setting a goal for yourself.
setting a goal. Yeah.
Awesome.
Scribble Sooth was also saying earlier that they love their sketchbook. Requires no batteries, and they work 14-hour shifts. So
Nice.
yeah, I think both are great. Digital and traditional are awesome.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like anyone has any feedback. They're like, we don't give a crap, Austin.
Sophia says, looks great. Top left is sweet in character. Bottom right is adorable.
Top left, this one, and bottom right. That's interesting. Those are like my two least favorites. I just feel, yeah, I don't know. They're not bad designs, but they don't hit the vibe I'm going for. They're like too young feeling, too fresh. Like this feels like it could be more of like a, I don't know.
I I love personally the idea of like the centaur dinosaur thing. If you want it to look more like old and kind of wise looking, I would either make it less like muscular or more kind of like hunched over and old somehow. Um, but right now it looks like kind of a warrior looking thing that's kind of buff and like in its prime.
Let's try a different take on it then. Let's see if we can maybe.
Scribble Sue says, wait, let's go back. I think we have more than I realized. Okay. Um, oh, Samantha says, I'm sorry I can't see the video. Is anyone else having troubles with that?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear us?
Internet looks like it's good. Hopefully it doesn't start doing that thing it did that one time.
So, Motivation Station says bottom left is epic. Comical Food says Root Dino could have the ability of controlling earth elements. Scribble Soothe says, yeah, I still like the first one the best. The best.
That's kind of how I'm feeling. I want it to feel epic. I want it to feel like, wow, that's like really, ancient, powerful.
Yeah. Motivation Station says Root Dino in top left is cool as well. Sophia says that's probably why I like them so much. My focus is learning this program. Oh wait, my focus in learning this program is to illustrate a children's book. So that's probably why she went with the word sweet and adorable. Comical Foods. Let's see. Root Dino mixed with Centaur? Question mark.
That almost seems like counterintuitive because it's like you're like freeing up, you're like getting a torso so that you can use your arms while you run around, but now you're just stuck there still, anyways.
Sparky Sap has a great question. As someone who drew traditionally off and on for 15 years, is it possible to learn digital within a year? As I'm interested to become a concept artist and I have all your courses.
Yeah, I think it is. I learned digital in about a year.
Me too. It took me about a year till I felt pretty comfortable with it. I still have a ton to learn, but I would say even within a few months, I was starting to get a hang of stuff.
Yeah.
So definitely you can learn it within a year. And it depends on how much work you put into it and how consistent you are.
Yeah, I think you can learn in a year too. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think it works as well, but
If you do it hunched over, I would do it like leaning back kind of,
yeah.
and then just kind of his shoulders hunched over or his neck. I don't know. Samir Hisham says, "Hey, great job. Want to ask you something? I want to buy an iPad as well. Is 256 gigabytes better or the 516 as storage better?"
Bigger is better, in my opinion. It will you I don't know. I have the 256. I wish I bought the 516. You could still make fine art on the 256. It's not a big deal, but if you can afford it, I would go for the bigger one. But I've been able to make art just fine without it. I mean, it kind of works. It just sort of like, I feel like the flow is a lot better when it's like more erect and like actually standing tall. If we're gonna go the centaur route. I mean, maybe if he had a cane instead of like a staff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
He's like got 4 legs. That's still not enough for him. Get out of here, phone call.
It almost looks like he could lean over and use three sets of legs.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, I think. Or I don't know, but it's something I've never seen before. It's kind of interesting, like where he could like stand up, but he stands up just the third of his body. And he could even like run like full speed with three sets of legs or something. I don't know.
Well, that convinced me then that this is not the design. Because that does sound cool. But if it looks like he could just bend down and start running, that's not the feel I want to go for. I want him to feel like this guy's slow, but ancient. Like he's so old and so big that you couldn't really like. Yeah, you can't run fast, and you might not have like a bunch of horns and spikes, but you could just like he's just so solid, you know. So that's the one I'm gonna go with.
Scribble Sue says needs flowers and fruit for the plenty.
Yeah, I had that drawn on there. You probably just can't tell because it's really rough. But I had like some. It looks probably like rocks, but the stuff going down like the side of his neck, right here. I was imagining being like flowers and vegetation stuff, like almost like a garland or like hanging around his neck. But yeah, good call.
Bruce Nunn says, Austin, the lasso feature is pretty useful, isn't it? I have seen you use it a number of times.
Yeah, I love the lasso tool. I use it all the time. And the liquefy tool, that one is also really useful, especially when you're in this rough stage and you can just move stuff around. It makes it a lot easier, I think. Probably won't finish this today or even get close, but make some progress. I also feel like this guy fits the orientation of the canvas better. And the reason it needs to be this way is because this art will probably be, I mean, I don't know yet because I haven't figured out the game exactly, but the art will probably end up being on some sort of a card. And I think I want all the orientation for the cards to be portrait instead of landscape. So, yeah, some of those other designs would look pretty small on a card that was in this orientation. All right, let's see what it might look like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Manya's saying this one is perfect.
This like drawing, you mean? This like creature design out of the other ones, or either way, thanks. Let's see what this guy looks like with.
What if you were to keep that neck and head, apply that to like a centaur thing? Would that be weird? Because that's how I kind of pictured it, was
Well,
kind
that's
of
what I
going
was trying.
backwards
That's what
and
I was
then
trying
wrapping.
to do, but I don't know. I just think it makes him look too agile.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. It just looks too like, I don't know. Like I'm imagining in the lore of the game that the scale of this guy is like
Massive.
Statue of Liberty size,
Yeah.
like Godzilla size, you know?
Yeah, and more stationary.
Yeah. Like you'd find this in the forest, like you'd be walking along and might not even notice it because it's so big and it's just covered in like trees and vegetation and like I don't know if you've seen sloths that have like moss growing on them. Like that, but like tenfold. Like he's just been in the forest and jungles or whatever for so long that like trees and stuff have just like grown all over his body, and like his feet have basically grown into the ground.
That's pretty cool. That's gonna be a really cool miniature. Sophia asked, "How are you going to 3D print it? Meaning doing it yourself or sending it to a company, marketing it as a toy?"
No, it won't be for a toy. It'll be for my board game, and I have not gotten that far yet. I do want to pick up 3D sculpting, so I might try sculpting it myself. We'll see. Or I might hire someone to sculpt it, send them the concept, and then have them do the design. Or I might do that to get like some like rough miniatures out to have like an idea for how it's going to be, and then after I do that, pitch it to like a established game company, pitch my game, and try and sell the idea, or get them to basically fund it or help manage like a Kickstarter or something, and then they would be in charge of hiring people to do it, make the miniatures. But I don't know. That's still a little bit ways down the road. So I'm just getting some art out there for it.
Ooh, this is looking cool.
And I'm thinking that like the gold ornamentation that he has on him will be like old and like covered in moss and stuff. I think that will look pretty sweet.
What are some of the things that are going through your head while you're sketching out concepts and trying to create a character from scratch?
Um, the main thing that I'm focusing on is in my head is what do I want people to feel or think when they look at this? Like, what emotion do I want it to evoke? Um, and then I'm trying to make everything I do kind of oriented around that. So, for example, I want people when they look at this to feel like it's really old, really powerful, ancient, very like slow, massive build, you know? So, and very earthy, you know, like grounded with nature. So, I'm not putting a lot of like there's mostly organic shapes. Um, I put a lot of wrinkles, a lot of texture, so that none of it feels like really smooth or new. You know, everything has some sort of grit to it. I'm thinking about like the overall like shape and silhouette. Like, what do I, you know, because that's kind of like the first thing people are gonna notice is just like its silhouette and you know the colors and stuff like that. Which we're not at the colors yet, but I want people to notice just like this massive like hulking form. Um, and then these, uh, I kind of want these like the gold ornamentation, like the thing on his back here, to hint for the viewer at some sort of like divinity or like you know something uh special about it, you know, other than just like, oh, it's just like a creature type sage that lives in the woods. I want them to be
Almost like
like,
it's wise.
yeah, like it has like these, you know, like what's with all this like gold, massive like Aztec looking stuff, you know. Um, I want to feel like it has some connection to like the culture that worships it, you know, that it is in fact some sort of like god, not just like doing its own thing in the woods and they just happen to worship this creature. It's like this stuff is representative of like the culture that worships it, you know.
Scribble Soothe says sloth dino.
Kind of, yeah.
Any other questions or thoughts, commentaries?
When I do like the more final, because I'm still kind of just roughing it in a little bit more. Um, I'll need to get the perspective on that arch right and everything, and make sure that all those, uh, all the little, what are they called? All those little like points on the arc are, you know, accurately distanced in perspective and stuff like that. What is that? Dripping from the snow? Let's see. What does that look like?
Motivation Station says, I like this. And then Scribbles, who says something I'm not quite sure what they mean. They say, I might just want to game prices to chill with me at my computer. So cool.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either. Oh, I think what they're saying is I might just want the game pieces to chill with me on my computer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks.
Scribblesooth asks, does he have a third eye, or am I just looking at too small of a screen?
No, I'm imagining that as like a gold, like a piece of gold, like ornamentation sort of thing.
We're at 11:02, Austin.
Oh, all right, we'll end. All right. Well, we made some decent progress today. Still got quite a ways to go. Eventually, I'm gonna have this guy. It'll be a fully rendered painting and stuff. So, still got a lot of work before we get to that point. But yeah, I think he's kind of shaping up in the direction that I want. But yeah, cool. All right, well, thanks for joining me today, everyone. And we'll be here the same time tomorrow working on our drawing skills. So be sure to post your work in the Facebook group and share it on Instagram with hashtag sketchgrind. And just a reminder, all of my courses on Udemy are available for the whole month of January for $9.99. So be sure not to miss out. Check that out.
The links are in the description of the live stream here on YouTube.
Correct. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you later.